Hi friends! So today I'm going to show you how to make a really beautiful and thoughtful Mother's Day gift. This little book box holds a post-it note with a pen, a matching bookmark, and a set of note cards and envelopes, so it's both pretty and practical. I'll walk you through step by step how to put this entire set together, and if you'd rather not write everything down, I do have the full printable instructions available on my Etsy shop. Alright, so let's get started. So for this project, I'm going to be using the rest of my Cartabella Farmhouse Market collection. These are actually just the last bits of this paper pad, so this is a great way to use up what you have and still create something really beautiful. And then for my sentiments, I'm using this stamp set right here. What I love about this one is that it has several different sentiments for all kinds of occasions, which makes this gift really versatile. Whoever receives it can use the cards for just about anything. And so this is the printable that you can find on my Etsy shop. I'm going to be walking you through this exact sheet as we go in the tutorial, so you definitely do not have to have it. It's just available in case you like something printed. It does include a full supply list and step-by instructions for all 4 pieces of the gift set, so everything we're making today is all right here in this one place. So the first thing we're going to do is create our embellishments. These are the inks that I've chosen to go with the paper. I'm stamping the flowers in 2 different shades of pink, then using a coordinating color for the foliage, and then 2 green inks for the leaves to add a little bit of depth. You want to make sure you stamp enough for all 4 projects so you don't have to come back and do any later. The last thing is just to cut everything out and have it all ready to go. All right, so now we're going to start with project number 1, which is the book box. I'll walk you through all the measurements and steps as we go, so you can just follow along with me. So step 1 is to cut a piece of cardstock, which is going to be the cover, and the measurements are 6.5 by 11. Step 2, you're going to score along the 11-inch side at the 5-inch mark and the 6-inch mark, and then fold both of those to form the spine. For step 3, we're going to make the box that's going to hold everything together, and it's going to fit inside the cover. So those measurements are, the piece of cardstock you need to cut is 6 3/4 by 8. The next thing we need to do is score at the 1-inch mark on all 4 sides. All right, so fold along all of the score marks that we just made. Next, we're just going to make a tiny cut on each of the 4 sides so that we create tabs so that when we fold them, we can glue the sides together and create the box. Okay, so the box is finished and I'm just dry fitting it here. That's perfect. Before I glue it down, I want to take my corner rounder and I want to round the corners. This just helps it not to bump on anything and get the corners kind of bent. So now I take the inside box, I take my adhesive, and I like to use both dry adhesive and wet adhesive, but one adhesive is just fine. Oops. So now you just put it inside the cover with the edge lining up to the bottom spine so that it closes really nice. And then once that's done, we're ready to move on to the next step, and that is to add a little X to the front and back covers. That's where we're going to place the ribbon. Okay, so now we can move on to project number 2, which is the cards and envelopes. Okay, so to begin, let's start by making our card bases. I use a regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, cardstock of course, cut it in half on the 11-inch side, and then you take each half and fold it in half to create the card base. And then you will need 4 envelopes to go with it. Now for project number 3, which is the bookmark. So I take a piece of cardstock and I cut it down to 2.25 by 12, and then I fold it in half to create the bookmark base. At this point, I use a punch, or you can just trim the top and use a hole punch for it, but the punch I have creates the hole. Then we're going to glue everything closed and it's ready to decorate. And for the last project is the Post-it note holder. Now the first way I'm going to show you is just how to make the Post-it note holder that does not hold a pen. So start with a piece of cardstock that is cut at 6 3/4 by 3 1/4. And then you need to score it at the 3 1/8 mark and the 3 5/8 mark. Fold along the score lines, and that forms the holder. You just adhere the Post-it note pad inside the cover on the back side. This finishing touch is to use the corner rounder on the edges just to make it look really pretty. Okay, so to make the Post-it note holder that holds the pen, you're going to start with a piece of cardstock, and we need to cut the cardstock at 7 5/8 by 3 1/4. Okay, I went ahead and rounded the corners just to make it easy. And now I've already made my score marks, but I'm going to show you here. So the first score mark you're going to make is at 3 1/4. The second score mark is at 3 5/8. And then the fourth score mark is right at the third score mark is right at the 4-inch mark. Okay, so again, it's 3 1/4, 3 5/8, and at the 4. This point in time, you're going to fold on all of the score marks. And then for this part, the little part that holds the pen, you're going to take it at the second score mark. Okay, so you have one here and another one in the back, but the middle score mark, you take your scissors and you're just going to clip right to the edge of the score marks, just a little bitty piece here. Okay, now the rest is going to be super easy. This little part sticks out, but the rest is going to be folded on the inside mark here. So at this particular point, I take a piece of glue and I'm just going to glue it down right here. I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue just right here in the middle. Of course, it doesn't want to work. Here we go. And now that part gets glued down, but not this little center piece. It's going to stick out. So you glue that down. And then here's your little Post-it note. The Post-it note's going to go right here on this section. And then your little pen goes right in that little holder. And I have a little pin here. Just fits right in there like that. It was so easy. So now you're ready to decorate. I apologize I lost the decoration footage, but I did put the measurements on the screen here so you can follow along or pause if you need to. But basically, you cut your pattern pieces, one mat and one inside mat, and you make it for the front cover, and then you make 2 for the spine and 2 for the back. Once you have your mats on there, you're ready to decorate the front. And as you'll see here in just a second when I turn it around, you just use your embellishments and your sentiment to decorate the front. Next, to decorate the bookmark, which is really easy, I took several pieces of scrap paper, layered them on top of each other, added my sentiment and my flowers, and then added the ribbon, and that's all finished. So you can decorate your cards any way you like, but this particular card, I used an outer mat that measures 4 by 5 1/4, and then a pattern piece of paper that measures 3 3/4 by 5, and then in the center, I added the sentiment and a flower cluster. And then the last thing to decorate the Post-it note holder. So basically you need one mat that measures 3 by 3, and then a patterned piece of paper that measures 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, and then add your sentiment and a flower cluster on top, and that's all finished. And here is another look at the finished project that we made today. Again, I'm sorry I lost the decorating footage, but we have the finished bookmark or finished book box here. And then on the inside, you have the Post-it note holder with the little pin, a bookmark, and then the 4 cards and the 4 envelopes. I hope you enjoyed putting this together with me today and maybe even created one of these sets for someone special for Mother's Day or just for any day, really. If you enjoyed this project, I'd love if you'd give the video a like and subscribe for more tutorials. And don't forget, I do have the printable instructions that are available in my Etsy shop. Thank you so much for being with me today. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.